Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time to put some training footage up, guys. I know that I've been doing all this bench press footage because I'm trying to specialize in the bench for just a little bit. I think it would be a good idea overall to work on it because I haven't benched in all that time, but we're not going to do that today. Today, I decided to come in and do basically almost a lower body day. Now, arguably, deficit deadlifts, front squats, they have an upper body component. This is still almost a full body workout. But I've been doing all this bench stuff. And, I haven't trained either of these lifts because I had a minor pull in my trap and along my spine and everything. And that's the reason I decided to mess with the bench a bit more. And now I feel like all of this is healed. It took it about a week to heal enough to come do this. And so I'm like, let me come in and work on my legs. You know what? I'm cutting right now. I really need to keep my metabolism as high as possible in my lower body, which means squats and deadlifts need to be, volume needs to come up a little bit. I've been doing single sets of these lifts, right? And I've been deadlifting relatively heavy for one peak set. Same thing on my front squat. So I'm like, let me come in and do what I know works. I need to be able to recover, and really heavy deadlifts hurt recovery a little bit. If I'm going to specialize in my bench for a month, I don't really need to deadlift really heavy, right? And what do we know about axial loading? Lifts like this that require you to use less weight, easier to recover from because they have less axial loading. And I did a whole video on that a while back, didn't I? Front squats, deficit deadlifts, if you're wanting to train for volume and hypertrophy and full body size and strength, have their place in phases to where you are worried about recovery. You can do a little more volume with these lifts, right? And recover easier. Now, the thing you're going to notice, these deficit deadlifts, I'm in work boots already. I'm already got a 1-inch heel. And then those plates added, it's a decent deficit. These are difficult. And one of the things you're going to notice, and one of the reasons I like deficit deadlifts, they train you to have to get really, really tight at the bottom because you're having to pull from an awkward position. It's really hard to find your leverages. They're a little awkward to do. They're difficult. And you've got to just explode that weight off the floor. And sometimes it feels like once you pull it, you're like, whoa, am I still pulling from the floor? Why is this bar pulling me forward? You know, it's that awkward movement because you're having to pull the weight so far. It can be really difficult to drive through and keep your speed strength up, which is what makes it so effective. And so, yeah, I didn't go that heavy, guys. I only did 455. Was it particularly difficult? No, it wasn't really hard because I did 5 work sets. I mean, not counting the 405. I did 5 triples and it was a little bit of volume. You know what? It got a really good pump in my hamstrings. My back got some work. I really felt on the last one because I held it at the very end. I got a good stretch in my traps after that pull in my trap. That felt really, really good. Was this workout hard? Not really. Was it challenging? Yeah, it was challenging. And that's what I needed. And this is more volume than I've been doing on my pulling. Right now, because again, I'm doing cardio to cut, I really, really need to make sure I keep my leg metabolism as high as possible. I need to keep lean mass in my legs. I need to try to make my legs grow if I can at all. I've been doing really low volume on this stuff because of all the cardio. Might be time to do that and do so with light enough weights and variations like these, so that I can recover from all that bench pressing, right? Because I'm going to be benching heavy, moderately heavy, at least 3 times a week while I bring my bench press back up. You guys know the whole story behind that. We don't need to cover all that. But in the meantime, I need to get my legs stronger in an athletic way. So again, front squats, deadlifts, things like that. Try to force them to grow a little bit while I'm cutting so that I can keep my metabolism as high as possible, because that's been the name of the game on this cut. I'm cutting like an athlete. Even though I'm 40 years old, I'm training like an athlete, and that means calories high, carbs as high as possible. Use activity to burn the fat, and it's working. I'm down 27 pounds. Ways to go, good ways to go. We have at least 23 more pounds to go, right? Will that be enough? Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out when we get there. See, that's the beauty of something like this. I've got a plan. It's kind of a long-term plan with an open-ended finish, because it's not about your destination, guys. Training, fitness, sports, everything else, it's just not about a final destination. It's about that journey. It's about the journey. And so that's a short-term goal. It's like about a 9-month goal, maybe. We're halfway there. We're ahead of schedule. We're doing good. I don't think I'm going to have a problem reaching that in the 9-month time frame or less. And I meant for it to be a 9 to 12 month. When I get there, we reassess and say, okay, here's where we are. What next? What next? And that's the beauty of it, guys. Don't get caught up in the end goal. Training is a lifestyle. So I went ahead and did front squats. Now, because I just did deficit deadlifts, my lower back was a little fatigued. As noticed that little bit of forward lean. These front squats were tough. They were tough after doing that. And normally what I do one set. And I've been doing that just because I quit squatting for a long time. And you guys have seen me squat over 500 raw. You've seen it. I've done it on camera more than once. So I quit squatting though because I'm not powerlifting, but I realize if I'm going to be an athlete, if I want to be athletic, I want to be strong, I've got to start squatting again. I realize the front squat fits in with my current goals better. So I started front squatting, but I haven't tried to progress on it because I've been started doing it in the middle of a high cardio cut. I'm not going to be able to get stronger in my legs. That's what I thought. I'm like, I'm 40 years old. I'm 40 years old. How am I going to get stronger in my legs while losing 50 pounds using cardio exclusively to create the deficit? And I'm like, maybe that's a defeatist attitude. Maybe if I do a little more volume, start working on doing extra sets, because there I finally did 2 sets. All right, I've been stopping at 1. I did 2 triples. That's a start. All right, baby steps. I said, okay, maybe my legs can get stronger. Maybe I need to stop selling myself short. I mean, it's important to have realistic goals. It's extremely important to have realistic goals, right? Don't sell yourself short, though. Find your potential. Actualize your potential. But do so safely. Be realistic about it so that you don't get hurt, you don't get injured, you don't get burned out. But I've been doing these, and I'm like, well, maybe I could start doing more sets on the front squats. I'm not sore, I'm not hurting, I'm not getting any inflammation. The cardio is working wonders for my recovery. Why not? Let's ease into it slowly and see what we can do with it. What's there to lose? As long as I do so safely and don't get hurt, there's nothing to lose. There's a potential to make some progress. Now, here I did a bunch of these crunches. You guys know my take on standing crunches. You know I believe in them as a accessory for the deadlift. A big fan of it. Now, the thing I noticed doing these, oh my God, I'm not used to doing 5 sets of deficit deadlifts. In fact, I haven't done, in about 6 months, I don't think I've done multiple sets of deadlifts really. Of any type. I was doing accumulation work 6 months ago, but you know, that kind of really left my hamstrings pumped, my hamstrings tight. I'm like, man, they're almost cramping. But here's another beautiful thing about these standing crunches. They give a nice little stretch in the hamstring, and when you do about 90 or 100 of them like I just did, it really made my hamstrings feel fantastic. Because again, it's opposing movement, and it stretched those hamstrings back out a little bit, and honestly they felt really good. Any of that tightness in my hamstrings went away, kind of pulled that pump down. Fantastic. I'm glad I did those. I'm glad I did a really long set like that and did that many, because it seemed to have helped my hamstrings enormously, because they were just getting tight and almost trying to cramp from doing those 5 sets of deficit pulls, because those really hammered my hamstrings. So that was great. And here, this is the same footage again of these last of the front squat, and just kind of showing what's going on here. The thing you guys will notice, I'm really focused on staying upright. You'll notice that bar placement is actually sitting up on top of my shoulders, and that's the correct placement for the bar. But you'll see right there on that third one, I'm trying so hard to stay upright. I'm trying so hard, but those deadlifts fatigued my lower back. But yeah, that third one, it was difficult to stay up. But I did. And so I felt good about that, because I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie, I was a little worried about trying front squats after 5 sets of deficit deadlifts. Again, not counting the other one. Some people count that as 6. I don't know. 405 on a deficit. No, not really. I'll count it as 5. I was worried that these were going to be harder than they were. Now, I'm not going to lie. These front squats after doing deficit deadlifts were tough. They were tough, but they weren't overwhelmingly tough. It wasn't outside of my ability to do. And I managed to do 2 sets. So that's a start. That's a start. I'm going to see if I can't slowly work the volume up a little bit. I might have to reduce the weight 10 pounds so I can do more sets. But yeah, let's move forward with it. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.